Good morning, students. My name is Samuel Chukwu Emeka. In this video, we shall study the U.S. Customary unit, linear measure, but we shall focus on conversion among units. In the other video, we did conversion between units. In this video, we shall deal with conversion among units. Please, before you begin to watch this video, I suggest that you view the other video, the previous video on conversion between units. What is the difference? Conversion between units means you only have, you have two units. You want to convert from one unit to the other unit. Right? Now, what conversion among units means you have one unit and you want to convert that unit to two other units. Now, conversion between units, you have one unit, you want to convert it to another unit. Conversion among units, you have one unit and you want to convert it to two or three other units. Two or more, I would say two or more other units. So, that is the way I say, I want to, I intend to say it that way. Between units to be, you have one unit and you want to convert to another unit. Then among units, you have one unit and you want to convert to two or more other units. Yeah, that is an original idea from me. So let's go to examples, okay? Okay, question 1. 75 inches as feet and inches. In this question, I will show you two ways to solve it. Two methods to solve it. Whichever method you prefer, that is fine. Okay? So, I will start with what I would say a more reliable method. Well, let me not call it more reliable, but it is a very reliable method, the first one that I would use. Although it is, it will require more time, okay? It's going to require more time. So, the second method is also a reliable method, and it will require less time. Yeah, but with the first method I want to use, it is very, very correct. Like, it is very reliable. Okay? You will understand as we do more calculations later on in other sections. Yeah, then you will understand what I mean by, between the first and the second method. Okay, now what we want to do first is we want to convert this 75 inches to feet first, and we get the integer part as the feet, and then the decimal part is also feet, but we now convert the decimal part to inches. Okay, now that is the first method I am talking about. Okay, so let's go ahead first. The first thing you want to do when you have a question like this, okay, you ask yourself, feet and inches, which one is more? Which one is more? Of course, feet is more because 1 feet is 12 inches. Okay, so we want to convert the inches to the one that is more first. And in the questions that we shall see subsequently, we are going to write the bigger unit first before the smaller unit. Okay, we'll write feet first before inches, so that you know that convert to the first one, the bigger unit first, and then the remaining decimal part, we now is also in feet, we now convert that remaining decimal part to inches. Yeah. So we now do 75 inches. Please, you need to watch the video that I did earlier on so you will understand this. Okay, we want to convert to feet, so we put feet at the numerator and we put inches at the denominator, right? And then we understand that 12 inches make 1 feet. Okay, so inches will cross out inches. Now we have 75 divided by 12, right? It gives us a 6.25. Okay, when we do 75 divided by 12, it gives us 6.25, right? 6.25 feet. So this is like saying 6.2, I'm sorry, this is like saying 6 feet plus 0.25 feet. That is the same way, okay? 6.25 feet is the same thing as saying 6 feet plus 0.25 feet. Okay, now we want to take this integer part and keep it as it is. The 6, to keep it as it is, 6 feet, right? And then we want to take this decimal part, and then change it to inches. So that is the first method. Yeah, I know it requires more time, but to be honest with you, it is very, very efficient and reliable. So let's go ahead and change 0.25 feet to inches. So if we are to do this, we now have 0.25 feet times, of course we put the feet at the denominator and we put inches at the numerator. We see that 12 inches make 1 feet. So when we multiply now, 0.2 feet will cross out feet. Then 0.25 times 12 gives us 3 inches. So we now have, therefore, we now have that 75 inches is equal to 6 feet, 3 inches. Now, some folks will write it as 6 feet, 3 inches. Right? Or you can also write it in symbols. Or you can write it as 6 feet, 3 inches. Okay, so this is the first method. Okay? Now, I will not be using this method to solve the rest of the questions. Why? Because of time. Right? I want to keep this video short so that you can view it till the end, so that you don't get, I just want to keep it short. Now, if you understand this method, that is fine. If you do not understand this method, okay, let's go to the second method. Now, remember, in this method, you first of all convert to the bigger unit, and then you keep the integer part. Integer part is 6. You keep it. That's the whole number part. That is what I mean by the integer part. The whole number part, 6 feet. You keep it. And then you now convert the decimal part back to the smaller unit, inches. Okay, so you do it that way. Okay, now let's do this same question with the second method. Okay, with the second method, what we want to do is to convert it to feet. Now, when we convert it to feet, we now keep the integer, the quotient. We have quotient and remainder. We keep the quotient as the bigger unit, and we keep the remainder as the smaller unit. I repeat, with this second method, you want to convert the first unit into the first bigger unit. Okay? You want to convert the unit that you're giving into the bigger unit first. Okay. Now, when you convert it into the bigger unit first, if you're dividing, you keep the quotient. You keep the quotient as the bigger unit, and you keep the remainder as the smaller unit. That is if you are dividing. Okay? We keep the quotient as the bigger unit, and we keep the remainder as the smaller unit. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. We now have, of course, 75 inches times, I have my inches here, and then I have my feet. You want to convert to the bigger unit first, okay? So this is 1 feet makes 12 inches. So we cross out inches. We have to divide 75 by 12, okay? So we use our division that you learned, right? 12 into 75 gives you 6. 6 times 12 is what? 72. And then you subtract. 75 minus 72 gives you 3. You stop right here, okay? The 6 is your quotient, and the 3 is your remainder. Okay, I think something happened, and my pen dropped. I'm using an iPad with the Show Me application on the iPad, and I mistakenly dropped my pen, and then this happened. So I'm going to do this afresh. I'm going to do it again. Okay, so let me do it again. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, okay? I'm sorry about that. So we have 75 inches times, of course, our inches here, 12, and 1 feet. Okay, inches will cross out inches. So we now divide 75 by 12. So we have 6. 6 times 12 is 72. 75 minus 72 is 3. We stop here. We know that 6 is the quotient, and then 3 is the remainder. So what we want to do here is we keep the quotient as the bigger feet, 6 feet, and the remainder as the smaller feet, 3 inches. And that becomes the answer. Okay, let me put some smile on your face. Okay, so that is what we do in this case. When we have, now let me say this, okay? Let me say this. When we are given a smaller unit, inches is a smaller unit, right? And we are asked to convert to a bigger unit and the same smaller unit, then we will have to divide, right? And when we divide, we keep the quotient in the big unit, which is feet, and we keep the remainder in the small unit, which is inches. Okay? Please take note of this statement that I just made. Take note of it. Write it down somewhere, okay? I don't think you will see it in textbook. So just take note of it. All right, let's do some more problems, okay? Question 2. 2,420 yards as miles and yards. All right. We know that 1 mile makes 1,760 yards. Miles is the bigger unit. Yards is the smaller unit. Okay, so we come and we are given the original quantity in the smaller unit. When we are given the original quantity in the smaller unit, and we are asked to convert that quantity in a bigger unit and the same smaller unit, of course, we are going to divide. And when we divide, our quotient becomes in the bigger unit, and the remainder becomes in the smaller unit. So, let's go ahead and convert this. So 2,420 yards, of course, we'll convert it in miles. So times, we want to delete yards, and then we want to convert to miles. And we see that 1 mile is 760. So yards will cross out yards. So we now have to divide 1760 divide 2,420. I hope you can. Let me use a blue line and demarcate this so that you don't get confused. So 1 will go, 1 times this will be 1,760. And if you subtract, you have 660. So the 1 is the quotient. So we have 1 mile, and then the 660 is the remainder, 660 yards. 1 mile, 660 yards. Okay? Question 3. Okay, in this case, we are given inches, which is a smaller unit, and we are asked to convert it in the bigger unit, feet, and in the same smaller unit, inches. So we first of all convert it to the bigger unit. We have 127 1/2, 127 and 1/2 inches times, we have inches here and we have feet here. And we know that 12 inches make 1 foot. Inches will cross out inches. So we've got to divide now, right? I use a blue line to demarcate this. And so we divide 12, divide 127, 1/2. So 12 into 127, of course, gives us 10. 10 times 12 is 120. And when we subtract, we have 7.5. 7.5. Right? So, did I just say 127, 1.5? I'm sorry. It's 127.5. Okay? Then when you subtract 120 from 127.5, it gives you 7.5. 7.5. Okay. So the quotient 10 becomes our feet. Right? And then the remainder 7.5 becomes our inches. Yup. That becomes our answer. The next one, 1,925 1/3 yards as miles and yards. We also see that the yards is the smaller unit, the yards is the smaller unit, the miles is the bigger unit. All right, we have 1925 1/3 times, I'm sorry, I have to put yards. Okay, yards times yards at the denominator, miles at the numerator. This is 1760. This will cross out. And then I separate this and I divide 1760 divide 1925 1/3 and 1/3. Okay, so this is 1 and this is 1760, right? So I have my remainder 165 1/3. The quotient is the bigger unit, 1 mile, 165 1/3 yards. Okay. I hope you saw what I wrote. DS. Okay. And that becomes our answer. Okay? Okay. What if we have a big unit and we are asked to convert in two different small units, like we see here. Okay, like we see here. What if we have a big unit and then we are asked to convert to two different smaller units entirely. So how are we going to do this? You see why I say that the first method is very reliable, because we are going to use the principle of the first method to get this, to do this. Okay, and I don't have a particular name for the first method or even the second method, but you can call it something, call it something that you remember. But in this case, we have to, convert to the bigger unit. Now, we have that yards is the original quantity, is in yards, which is the biggest unit. Then the two different units are the feet and inches. Now, feet is bigger than inches, okay? And as usual, we are going to convert the yards to feet. Like I said earlier, you convert it to the bigger unit first. And then you take the integer part. You take it. The integer part becomes in the big unit. And then the decimal part, or in this case, the fractional part, okay, because this is a fraction. This won't give us a decimal, but a fraction. In this case, the fractional part, you now convert it to inches. Okay, you keep the integer part in feet, the bigger unit, and the decimal part or the fractional part, you now convert to inches. But first of all, you have to convert the yards to feet first. Okay, you have to convert the entire yards to feet. And then if you have an integer part, you keep it in feet. And if you have a decimal part or a fractional part in feet, you now convert to inches. Okay, so let's go ahead first and convert yards to feet first. 6.5 yards times, I have my yards at the denominator and my feet at the numerator. Now, not my physical feet, okay? So this is 1 yard makes 3 feet. Yards will cross out yards. So we now have 6.5 times 3, right? We're back in fractions. If you have a problem with fractions, please go to my website. I'll give you my website at the end of this video. And under the arithmetic part, view the videos that I did on fractions. It's important, especially when we now do arithmetic of compound numbers, when we have to add and subtract, multiply and divide compound numbers, which will include fractions. Okay, so let's change this to improper fraction. 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1, 13 over 2 times 3, right? So this gives us what? 39 over 2, and that gives us what? 19.5 feet, right? So like I said, keep the integer part, 19. Keep it in feet, because this 19.5 feet, now 19.5 feet, it means 19 feet. This is now the first method, you see, plus half feet. That is what it means. I hope you know that is what it means. Because 19 feet is 38 over 2 plus 1/2, 1 over 2, which gives you 39 over 2. Okay, so we keep this integer part in feet. And now this fractional part in feet, we now convert to the smaller unit, inches. That is the way we do it. Okay, so let's convert this half feet to inches. So it will now be half feet times over feet, and then this is inches. Okay, so this is 1 feet, this is 12. So of course, feet will cross out feet. 1/2 times 12 is what? 6 inches. So we now have that 6.5 yards will give us 19 feet and 6 inches. First method, which is correct. Comprendez? Comprenez-vous? Okay, question 6. 0.0900 mile as yards and feet. We see that mile is the biggest unit, and we are asked to convert it to two different units. Yards being the bigger and feet being the big. You know, like mile is the biggest, okay, then yards is bigger than feet, okay. So we do it the same way. We'll first of all convert the 0.0900 mile to yards, right? We convert it to yards. Okay, what is the relationship? We see that 1 mile is 1,760 yards. So mile will cross out mile. When we multiply this, we have 158.4 yards. Now, this 158.4 yards, what does it mean? It means 158 yards plus 0.4 yards. That is what it means. So we keep our integer part, we keep it, and then we convert 0.4 yards to feet. And how do we do that? 0.4 yards times yards will be denominator and feet will now be numerator. And we see that 1 yard is 3 feet. This will cross out, and this gives us 1.2 feet. So we have that our final answer will be 158 yards. I'm going to circle the final answer. 158 yards, 1.2 feet. That will be our final answer. There you go. Okay. Next question, please. Okay, next question, please. Okay, question 7. 2.180 miles as rods and yards. Okay, we do it the same way we've been doing. 2.180 miles times, here is miles, and here is rods. 1 mile is 320 rods. This will cross out. And so we have 697.6 rods, right? So we keep the 697 and we multiply 0.6 rods. We multiply the decimal part and we convert it to yards. We convert it to yards. So 1 yard is, 1 rod is 5.5 yards, right? And that gives us what? 3.3 yards. When we do that, we cross out. So the answer will now be what? 697 rods, 3.3 yards. Okay? I hope you understood it. Let me circle it. Let me circle the final answer. The next question, the last but not the least, 0.90 yard as feet and inches. So we have 0.90 yard times our yard is here and our feet is here. 1 yard is 3 feet. Yard will cross out yard. And we have 2.7 feet. 2.7 feet. We keep the integer part, which is 2 feet. And then we convert 0.7 feet to inches. Okay? Feet, inches. Okay? And we have that 1 feet is 12 inches. And when we cross out, we have 8.4 inches. 8.4 inches. So our final answer will be what? 2 feet, 8.4 inches. And I'm going to circle it. Okay? So that is the way we do it. Thank you so much, students, for listening. I have a new website for questions, comments, suggestions, constructive criticisms. Now, not destructive criticisms. Constructive criticisms. Okay? You can go to my website, Samdom, for peace. Samuel Dominic for peace. Samdom for peace.com. Okay? And you click, you can, or you make a comment on my YouTube channel. Alright? Or you email me. If you're one of my students, you email me. Now, if you're my student, please use my school email. Do not use my personal email. Please use, for any communication I have with my students, it should be through the school email. Thank you so much for listening, students, and you have a great day. Bye.